Legends, what's going on? Hope all is well. Hope you legends are rocking, having an incredible week. I hope you all are staying safe out there. First and foremost, let me be the first one to say Happy New Year to each and every single one of you. I hope you all are ready to kick off the new year on the right note. Make 2021 a year to never forget. Real quick, just want to talk about the crypto market, what is currently going on, the most recent movements, as well as my overall thoughts on it. Just to jump straight into it, legends, this is a very exciting time, definitely one for the books, to say the least. This has definitely been long in the coming, more so has been something that I have been personally talking about now for the last 2+ years, ever since I have been involved. And so this is a very exciting time. I've been getting a tremendous amount of questions with regards to what we could expect next, what we should be taking into consideration, and more so what is currently going on at this current moment. And so with this video, legends, here to fill you in with my overall thoughts with what is going on, and more so give you the updates. Throughout the year, legends, I'm going to be a lot more active on social media in its entirety. And so definitely stay up to date with all the channels. Going to be getting a lot more content, more so providing my opinion on everything in its entirety. And so definitely stay tuned. To start off, legends, this is definitely an exciting time. As I said before, this is something that I started really thinking would come to fruition within a short amount of time last year, roughly around this time, being January 28, 2020, when the market was just roughly sitting at 242 billion, in which we definitely can see at this point now market is moving into that $1 trillion market. And so without a doubt, just start on that note, shout out to all that have been involved for as long as I have been and even longer, and for the ones that in addition got involved more recently. Continue to keep rocking, continue to keep striving with it. It's definitely an exciting time. When we look at both markets, which I have right in front of us, and today we're predominantly just going to talk about the crypto market cap in its entirety, and then talk about the alt market as well, excluding Bitcoin. It's incredibly important to know that we're at such a young stage in everything that is taking place. More so when we take a look at the market cap in its entirety, we can definitely see that we're only sitting at roughly 881 billion, which you compare it to other markets, it's absolutely nothing, which simply comes back down to the excitement that I personally have for what's to take place. And this time around, we're going to even see something greater take place than what it prior happened. Looking at structures in its entirety, there's definitely some things that we definitely want to be taking a look at. When looking at the crypto market cap in its entirety, for the moment, we can definitely see that market's in a roughly aggressive move, to say the least. Nonetheless, though, at some point we will expect this to start slowing down, and it's incredibly important to note once again that the same level of skepticism and fear, and more so negative comments that came about in 2018, we'll definitely revisit at some point. More so, it's more important to be mindful of what is currently taking place right now and the current sentiments you have on the market, and to continue to make sure that you understand what is to come in the long haul. Let's start off with the crypto market cap in its entirety, and then we'll take a look at the alt market. When we take a look at crypto market cap, as I said before, market is definitely in an impulsive stage at this current moment. As I like to call it, it's in a discovery mode. It's in a euphoric mode. To say where we're going to top off at this current moment is really difficult, but we have to come back down to what the basis of a trend is. A trend is a consistence of 4 points. And we very much know at some point this pullback will take place. This pullback does a lot of things in the marketplace, but nonetheless, it has to happen. It's the basis of what trend is. It's the basis of what the game is. And so when we look at market in its entirety for the current moment, it's difficult to say what will exactly happen. All we can do is predict based on what we have available to us. As I said before, market's existence states at 4 points, trying to take into consideration where this counter move will start to come in, which ultimately will allow for liquidity to be put into the market. Definitely want to look at previous areas that once sellers deemed extremely incentivizing now become more incentivizing for buyers. Key areas to definitely take a look at this current moment is roughly that $760 billion marker down into about this 600 region. It's incredibly important to know that this is definitely going to be a hot area for market in its entirety when it does come down to look for areas for orders to be grabbed in. Nonetheless, that does not say that market does not have to just continue, because it definitely can. Nonetheless, though, it's important to be mindful that cycles will continue to take place to reach those inevitable points that we are looking for. These cycles allow for new opinions to be put into the market, which in turn allow for a new influx of cash, which allow for eventual appreciation. And so When we look at market in its entirety, I don't necessarily think the market will slow down for the coming months, but it's incredibly important to note that a slowdown will happen. The bigger thing to take into consideration when talking about the crypto market cap now is also to take and be mindful of the potential geopolitical issues that will start to come about in the shorter term. But nonetheless, it's really important to note once again that these will simply just be short-term barriers for what will be the inevitable, and not necessarily putting too much emphasis on one given coin at this current moment. When we just look at market in its entirety, we have to be mindful that over 70% of the dominance remains in Bitcoin. And as we very much know, that cannot continue to exist in the long haul. As I like to look at it, and like I said, not getting too much into it, Bitcoin is the spark. And there are other coins out there that are the fire. Bitcoin is the MySpace. And there are other coins out there that are the Facebook and the Instagrams. And so, nonetheless, there's so much to take place. And that is what is so exciting for what is to happen. You can do all the analysis you want and try to understand and put whatever type of tools you want to figure out certain price point for price to decelerate, exhaust, and you can start expecting this corrective movement that eventually will allow for another leg to the upside. But it's just important to see the bigger picture and what can and will happen. Nonetheless, this is an extremely exciting time. And as I said before, momentum at this current moment does not look to slow down. But at some point, we will expect this pullback, whether it's when we cross that 1 trillion marker or even higher. Nonetheless, though, what many seem to take into consideration is that just because market cap is creating all-time highs, that's indicative that the alt market will also continue in the same fashion. That's not necessarily true. We have to be mindful that, yes, spillage will in fact take place of the existing gains into this next market, but it does not take away from the fact that the dominance that is very much running this market is continuing to rise, which creates limited pressure at this current moment. As I said before, eventually that will have to change. Nonetheless, though, perspective is the biggest thing when we come down to this market. Just as I was saying in July of 2018, when I first got involved and seeing the crypto market be at its lowest point in December of 2018, mass amount of fear, uncertainty, skepticism, doubt is required for any true adoption to take place. And so, while this may seem for the moment relatively more limited in pressure compared to what is currently going on in the bigger picture, it's about being mindful of what's to eventually take place. And so simply what I'm stating here is to be mindful of when certain actions in the market happen. Don't create these imaginary expectations without at least, as I like to say, price proving it to you. Let the chart be your ultimate speaker, your ultimate guide when it comes down to what is currently going on in the instrument that you are trading or investing in. Nonetheless, though, very much want to get involved into the market cap, especially in the beginning of the year, more so in this week because of what's currently going on. We can definitely see the month of November and December, which happened to be what allowed for new highs in BTC, were the months that didn't do much for the alt market. We did see a relative rise, but nothing major in relation to the correction of the structure when it comes down to representing this descending pressure since the bear market began. That's the biggest thing to be mindful of. I do not care that price rallied 70, 80%, whatever it is in the alt market. It's about perspective. But nonetheless, the exciting aspect is, as I said before, what's to come and what's to take place in its entirety. And so when we look at the alt market, definitely this week is a bigger week to say the least. And as we take a look just in the smaller time frame, we can definitely see that we're starting to correct and we're starting to break out. It'll be very interesting to see what happens within this week and if we can successfully close above these points. Nonetheless, though, you can see there is still one more area that is ultimately going to uphold price before this simply becomes free flowing and attempts to go ahead and create new highs. Nonetheless, though, this is also something very, very exciting. And I think this has much more room to grow than potentially what's leading the market at this current moment. And so when taking a look at the market in its entirety, understand, legends, that this is an extremely exciting time. The market cap is at an all-time high. Cryptos are dominating. But we have to be mindful of what got us to this point. Mass amounts of fear, uncertainty, doubt, and skepticism. And for us to see continued cycles of this in the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years, there will need to be levels of that once again. Not in this video, but it goes much deeper into the basis of what the game is, what a trend is. And when you understand the basis of how appreciation, depreciation work, the basis of finance, you fundamentally understand this. But as I said before, it's about weeding out the noise and being able to see the bigger picture. And that's the exciting aspect of this entire environment. And so moving into 2021, legends, when speaking of the crypto space and we're looking at the crypto space in its entirety, look with optimism, but calculated optimism. Be mindful of what got us to this point, and be mindful of what needs to happen for certain end results to take place. Perspective thinking is the name of the game, especially in this market. Failure to do so will result in a tremendous amount of emotions, more so in a roller coaster state. And so I'm very much excited to see what 2021 has to offer for us. Look forward to updated videos coming out with regard to the crypto market and other markets as well. Legends, Happy New Year once again. Stay up to date with everything. I look forward to speaking to you all soon.